The Seahawks are known for having arguably the best defense in NFL history, the Legion of Boom, a defense that featured household names like Richard Sherman, Kam Chancellor, and Earl Thomas III. The Legion of Boom was simple. They primarily ran stock cover 3. Richard Sherman would lock down his side of the field, Earl Thomas would patrol everything over the middle, and Kam would cover anything up the seam and in the flats. Seattle's scheme was simple, but it worked perfectly with their personnel, who hit hard and forced offenses to string together perfect 15-play drives, which rarely happened, resulting in a lot of turnovers for the Seahawks defense. But this era was short-lived, as NFL rules changed to protect receivers and make offense overall easier, and these players getting older, the Seahawks slowly sunk back into mediocrity on the defensive side of the ball. That is until they got new head coach Mike Macdonald. Macdonald has quickly turned this defense around, making them once again the best defense in the NFL. Macdonald's scheme can be complex, looking to confuse any quarterback across the NFL. However, as time has gone on, Macdonald has shifted this approach to use the same type of simplicity that the Legion of Boom did. However, instead of cover 3, Macdonald is doing it using cover 2. To see just how dominant this Seahawks defense is, let's take a look at their game versus the 49ers in Week 18. The 49ers came into this game averaging over 42 points per game in their last 3 games. This is due to Kyle Shanahan being an offensive mastermind, forcing defenses to play by his rules. However, in Week 18, the Seahawks held that explosive 49ers offense to just 3 points. So with that being said, let's dive into the film and see how the Seahawks have once again built the best defense in the NFL. The primary reason for this Seahawks defense's success is their personnel. The Seahawks defense does something that no other defense really does quite as successfully. The Seahawks run more dime and nickel personnel than any other team in the NFL. For example, in this game versus the 49ers, there were 42 defensive snaps. They ran 0 in base personnel, meaning 4 or less defensive backs, 31 in nickel personnel, meaning 5 defensive backs, and 11 in dime personnel, meaning 6 defensive backs. That means that the Seahawks constantly have a ton of defensive backs on the field, meaning safeties and corners and less linebackers. As you know, linebackers are typically slower. That's actually why I give this Seahawks defense the name Legion of Zoom. They're extremely fast, they all rally to the football, and they're all extremely athletic players. But what makes this Seahawks defense so special is you would think that they'd be bad against the run because they run so much nickel and dime, having a lot of defensive backs on the field, but that's not actually the case. The Seahawks have the best run defense in the NFL, and they get the ball ran on them more than any other team in the NFL, especially on early downs. So this raises the question, why are the Seahawks so successful against the run if they run lighter sets on defense that are supposed to get you beat more often in the running game? I mean, that's why offensive coordinators naturally run the ball on them more, because they see that as their advantage. If we can run the ball down their throat, we can get them into heavier personnels, and then we can beat them through the air. But the Seahawks are great against the run because of the way Mike Macdonald has these guys playing. He often stunts his interior defensive linemen or has them fill their gaps at angles to save time and create a wall for his defensive backs to come and rally to the football. The thing is, the Seahawks defensive backs love tackling. Even their corners constantly make plays in the backfield. Take a look at this play from safety Nick Ward. He's a rookie, and yet he's making incredible plays like this in the backfield, taking down George Kittle, one of the hardest tight ends in the NFL to tackle. And that's the way this Seahawks defense plays. They rally to the football, none of them are afraid to tackle, and they're not going to give you any easy yardage. All while constantly having 2 safeties back at all times to make sure you don't get any shot plays on them. And they tackle extremely well to make sure that you don't pick up huge gains that you don't deserve to get. And that's what makes this Seahawks defense so special. Now let's break down a couple of the plays individually. Okay, this is the first play I want to break down right here. This is going to be in the first quarter, 2nd down and 8. So we're going to motion over Juwan Jennings here, kind of get him out of this stack slightly, and that's going to tell us pre-snap. If we're a quarterback and we're looking at this, we've got 2 options. We've got man coverage across the board, cover 1, or we're going to guess that this is cover 3 because there's 1 high safety. Well, the Seahawks defense is going to do neither, okay? And it also seems to us like there's 4 guys rushing, but what they're actually doing is they're giving us a cover 2 look. So they're going to take this safety right here, they're going to take him into his half, they're going to take this middle of the field safety and give him his half. We're actually not even rushing the quarterback right here, so we're going to do a fake rush and we're going to get out to this kind of hook area right here on the field. We're going to run man coverage on this outside receiver, and then across the board we've got Tampa 2 everywhere else. Why do I say Tampa 2? It's because Ernest Jones right here is going to drift back and kind of play this middle of the field area. The problem with that is pre-snap, like I said, we diagnosed either cover 1 or cover 3, so we're going to run a play that beats cover 1 or cover 3, and we didn't check out of it because we thought that was it. We're going to have a corner right here This would technically beat Tampa 2, but Brock isn't expecting it to be Tampa 2, so he's not actually going to end up doing anything with that route. We're going to have a deep dig right here. This destroys cover 3. This is what Brock's really doing. He's trying to look off the safety and throw that. We're going to have a deep corner over here, which is going to pull this safety out of the play. Ultimately, that takes this deep half. This one's going to pull this safety out of the play. But the problem we have to worry about is because we didn't know this was cover 2, or Tampa 2, I should say. 13, Ernest Jones is going to drop back directly in the zone that we're trying to make this throw in. So you say, okay, let's hit him in the window before the zone. Well, because it's Tampa 2, this guy's going to get depth, like I said back here, forcing 53 to also drop in and take away that other hole. So what does that open up? It opens up McCaffrey on this little flat route over here, but Brock Purdy isn't going to hit that either because what he expected to get pre-snap was not what he got post-snap. See, Christian McCaffrey's open right here, but he was trying to look off the safety to get back to right here. He realized that he wasn't going to be able to make this throw because they have a triangle set up right here preventing it. So he sees his guy get ripped right here, and he's trying to step up in the pocket to make a play. He's going to end up taking a 1-yard sack. Once again, confusing this offense, but still just running stock Tampa 2 with a man mark on their X receiver rather than having a flat out there. Okay, here we've got a play where I really just want to show once again how impossible it is going up against this Seahawks defense. You get yourself in a 3rd and 13 situation because you either take a penalty, you take a sack, you get a negative run where they get a TFL on you, and you just can't convert a 3rd and long consistently on this defense, right? See how they line everyone up at the sticks right here? They got 4 guys back at the sticks. Obviously, this guy's going to drop. This guy's probably going to drop as well. So we got 6 guys guarding the sticks. There's really nowhere to go with it except for underneath. Except we're actually going to call up a great play here to beat it. We're going to run a comeback on this outside right here. Kind of a double move, right? So our goal with that is to get him right at the sticks, and it works perfectly. The only problem is, look at this rush in the middle. We get absolutely speared because we have to wait so long for him to make it to the sticks to get something open against this coverage. This play right here is just completely not fair at all, and it really goes to show why this Seahawks defense is such a problem. We're going to run a little boot right here. All right, we're going to fake the handoff on an inside zone going this way, and then we're going to try to get this boot game going, move the pocket a little bit, try to get an easy completion for the quarterback. We're going to motion this receiver over to really sail everything on the defense this way, and it actually works. All right, let's look at it. So we got cover 1 across the board here. We know that because when we motion, he goes. And what you notice here is who's guarding this kind of flat route right here. Instead of a typical boot, like here, like I drew, what they did, because they knew that there would be a ton of traffic in the middle, is they snuck him out the back and tried to make him that just easy outlet right there. Problem with that is this guy who's man marking him is Tariq Woolen. He runs a 4.2 40-yard dash, right? But you're still hoping there's so many bodies here in the middle because of the run fake, he's going to get caught up. But this Seahawks defense is so smart that they make sure they don't run into him. Makes a tackle in the backfield. That's a play that should have worked. The play action drew everyone on the other side. It cluttered up the middle of the field, and this Seahawks defense is so fast they still make the play in the backfield. That's crazy. Okay, final thing I want to go over here. It's currently 6 a.m. Been working on this video for about 8 hours, and I don't want the video to be too long for you guys. But every defense has its weakness. So how do you beat cover 2? Levels concepts, post up the middle, things like that, right? Well, obviously the post up the middle aren't really working because of how athletic they are, and they're running Tampa 2 a lot of times. So your best way is to hit hole shots or levels concepts in that hole that the defense gives you on top of the flat and below the safety, right? So as I mentioned, Kyle Shanahan's a genius. So he's finally going to get in his bag kind of here on this last drive. We motion George Kittle over. It tells us, hey, not running man coverage, showing me cover 2 zone pre-snap. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to motion over Christian McCaffrey, and we're going to run him on a hook. The reason we run him on this hook is because we want this flat defender right here to have to guard him, right? We want to vacate this area of the field. And then what we noticed earlier, I'm going to get that off the field. What we noticed earlier is they like to man mark the X receiver in this Tampa 2 look. So we've got him man marked right here, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to run George Kittle on a little corner route right here. And then we're going to take this X receiver and we're going to run him up the seam. They're going to run him directly on just a go route. I would personally like, and this is just me, I would personally like for them to also send him on a corner just to make sure if they don't man up this receiver right here that we still have some open because he'll beat this safety to the sideline. But they're going to run this concept and watch it kill Tampa 2. This is how you beat it, okay? Watch how open George Kittle gets right here. Right, you see Christian McCaffrey sits in that hook. It drops down that hook defender, and this is the hole I was talking about. This is called a hole shot typically. If you have a go ball on this sideline, you'd want to hit him, but after the corner, before the safety. But we're just throwing a corner route. So he's going to cut right here towards the sideline, and we have all this room just to lead it. And also, something that's good about this is if they don't hold their contain, we can escape the pocket. He's forced to step to us. Christian McCaffrey will be wide open, right? So this is how you beat cover 2 and Tampa 2. These corner shots on the sideline, great job there by Kyle Shanahan, finally getting some going against this play calling.